Okay, so today we have got our Success Pathway deep dive. So this is an opportunity for us to deep dive into our success pathway that we've developed and to give you as much information as we can. Now, a lot of you would have heard the framework of this and the sort of the 6 steps and a brief explanation. But really what we want to do with this is deep dive into all of this. Now, for those of you who aren't aware who I am, my name's Andy Hooper. I might actually look a bit younger in that photo, in all fairness. Perhaps I need to get a new one done. I'm the CEO here at Global E-Commerce Experts. I've been involved in e-commerce for around about 10 years, and I've got a real good understanding of the EU marketplaces. That's really our expertise here. That's where we really focus on at the moment. And you won't be surprised to see that our name is Global E-Commerce Experts. We will be moving into those other markets. We're already working in those markets, but we don't actually operate any services in those as such at the moment. So, but we've really focused on that core market of the EU, which is our real focus point. We are here to successfully expand you. That is what Global E-Commerce Experts is here to do. And that is our mantra. That's what the team's mantra is. And that is what our sole focus is about. We're actually working with probably 1,200 sellers just like you. I would say that 90% of those are based in the States and have all expanded into Europe. That's where the core part of our business has, especially being that we work closely with the Amazon Global Selling team, expanding people into Europe. Now, 2 things you need to be aware of. We have a chat room. So most of you have found that to let me know you can hear me and see the presentation. And we also have a Facebook group, where you can share, and there's a small community, a growing community of expanders just like yourself that are expanding into the EU marketplace. And that Facebook group is GEE Expanders. Really straightforward, really simple. And you'll get that from me. I'm a simple person. I like to keep things simple and as easy as possible to make things easy for me, in all fairness. And hopefully that helps with you at your end as well. So that's a little bit about me, but we're not here to hear about me. So in the past 24 months, we've successfully expanded over 1,200 sellers across a range of our services. Now, what that does mean we can do is we can use that data, we can analyze what's worked and what hasn't worked, and really deep dive into some of those areas. So what that has enabled us to do is to really put a little framework together we'll come on to. Now, apologies for those that have seen this slide already. There is a hard way of doing this. The hard way is by doing that yourself. You can do it yourself. You can do it the hard way. Benoit Lecomte swam it in 1998, 3,716 miles across the Atlantic. He did have a support boat, he did have a crew, but he did it in around 100 days. So that's the target, to do it by yourself. However, what I'm hoping to do on this system specifically is to give you a relatively easy approach to do that. Now, you'll see here we've got a lovely picture of Cunard and Queen Mary 2 in New York, and there's a round trip in 14 days that goes from Southampton, just down the road from where I am at the moment in our fulfillment center, to New York and back, 14 days. So what I'm about to give you is a 14-day sort of version of that, if you like. So I'm basically aiming to give you as much information as I possibly can to make this as simple and as easy, both from the expansion point of view, and I'm going to touch on the beginning part, and I know a lot of you have already heard some of that, so I'm not going to delve into that in too much detail, but really focus on the sales velocity, increasing revenue, and promoting your products, and where you go to the next steps. So it's really about giving you that 6-step process, how to really nail your expansion, basically that. So I'm going to give you the easy way. It's as simple as that. So here's our success pathway. As I said, the majority of our clients are based in the States, coming to Europe, and you'll see that this is where we're aiming to go to. Now, it doesn't mean to say if you're not based in the States, this is not relevant to you, because it totally is. It just means that the majority of our clients are based in the States. So we've targeted around that from a map point of view. It makes life a lot easier. However, if you're based anywhere outside of Europe, this is still for you, okay? So here's the success pathway. There are 6 basic steps that I've mentioned in other promotional, in other webinars that you may have attended, specifically in our onboarding one that we run on a monthly basis. We only launched it 2 months ago, so if you came on our onboarding VAT webinar before that, you won't have seen it. So it's broken into 6 steps. It's really, really straightforward. We talk about compliance, marketplace, we promote, we have a website, we do Pan EU, and we fulfill. Now that is the 6 steps. Now that is it. It is as quick and as easy as that. But what I want to do is take each of those in step-by-step detail and give you as much information as I can. So compliance splits into 3 key areas for me. Your compliance is VAT. Now most of you, in fact, all of you I know have got your VAT now, so we're not going to spend too long on that. Labeling, we're going to spend a bit of time on that, and payments. And most of you have got payments, but I'm going to touch on that. So this is stage 1, right? This is getting the bread and butter all sorted, done and dusted. So all of you, I believe, looking through the list, in fact, you won't have got on this webinar because it is only for our clients. So everyone is one of our clients, and basically, I know you're all VAT registered, right? So I'm not going to touch on that too much, other than the compliance. You need to be VAT registered, and you need to basically be filing on a quarterly basis. Simple as that. So VAT compliance, really straightforward. You register, you file on a quarterly basis in the UK or wherever you fulfill your goods from. So, but that's starting off. We typically start off in one marketplace and build to others, and we'll come on to that later in the webinar. So that's the key thing, you're VAT registered. Now, let's just discuss labeling. Now, some of you, and I'm looking through the list, I know some of you have contacted and said, Andy, Amazon has suspended one of my products. That's it, it's been suppressed. The listing is suppressed. It's been put into a specific area. We can't get to it, and it's been put in as unfillable inventory, and we've got to remove it. Now, that is quite common at the moment, and I'll tell you why. What happens is there's a company here called Trading Standards. Trading Standards are a company, sorry, not a company, they're a government organization that basically wanders around warehouses, third-party facilities, where what they do is they basically go around checking to make sure everything is compliant. What they do is they check to make sure the labels are compliant, the ingredients are compliant, what you're saying on the product is compliant, and we're not talking about barcodes here. We are not talking, I'm just seeing if I've got something here. Okay, so hopefully you can all see this. I'm just looking at this here. So here we've got a bar. We're not talking about the label here, okay? What we're talking about is the bold claim on the product. And I should have had a little prop here, shouldn't I, really? But as you can see from the picture, you need to make sure that with your labeling, it's compliant with EU regulation. And here's the products that typically fall down. Supplements in the food, health, and beauty sort of area. Pet, that sort of area. Beauty, cosmetics, electronic products. They're the key products that sort of fall down in this area because your labels just aren't compliant. You say, hey, I've got all these American products or these products, and what I'm going to do is just send them over and they're going to be compliant. And whilst there's an element of that may work, what will happen is you might start getting suppressed listings. So those suppressed listings, what happens is they get pulled down by Amazon and you're like, what do I do? So the way around that is by making sure your labels are legally compliant for EU regulations. And I'm going to give you as much information as I can on that. If you think, your labels might not be compliant, then you can let us know. We have a team that deal with labeling for you and we can look after that. But if I give you as much information as I possibly can, here are the key things. The first thing is the ingredients need to be listed, and they need to be ingredients that are applicable, allowed in the EU. That's the first thing. And it needs a list of ingredients. You need an address on there. You need a responsible person on there. You cannot make any bold claims on there that are not substantiated. So for example, you can't say that take this pill once a day and you'll lose 30 pounds of weight in a week. You can't do that unless there's an ingredient in there and you specify it to that specific ingredient. So for example, this ingredient does this. So you can't make those bold claims, which I know many of you who have supplements have done that in the past, and that's what your American or that's what your non-EU labels say. I stopped saying states-based, shouldn't I? So that's the key thing. Now, on those labels, you need to change those things. So before you send those goods over, you can change all of those things. And by doing that, your labels will probably be compliant relatively straight away. Now, what you might still want to do is get those checked. We can obviously help with that should you need it. Now, let me give you an example. An example of an ingredient that's not compliant. Now, there's a specific vitamin C ingredient that's not allowed in EU regulations unless it's a sweetener. So if it's a sweetener, it's allowed. If it's a specific ingredient, it's not allowed. So any of you that do have specific products, labeling that are in the health, the beauty, the supplement, the pet, anything that can be digested, put on skin or consumed, electronics, anything that could have an issue, if you like, then they're the sort of things you need to make sure your labels are compliant with EU regulations. Okay, so that's labeling. So the first thing is you've got your VAT, give that a massive old tick. The next thing is making sure your labels are compliant and your product is compliant with EU regulations. Now that's what you need to do. You need to make sure they are. You will get suspended if it's not compliant. All right. So it's best to do that beforehand rather than retrospectively. We've got a couple of questions coming in. Any language requirement on the label? Is English only okay? Yes, it totally is. So the EU label needs to be it could be in any European language, but we recommend English. That makes it a lot easier for most of our clients and for us. Now, what we do say is when you start selling in volume to other countries, what you will need to do at some point, and I don't suggest you do this until you're making at least 6 figures per SKU, all right? At that point, then you get your label translated as well. But until you're at that stage, there's no need to. So yeah, your label can be in English, no problem at all. Now, how can I confirm that my product meets EU regulations and labeling? Okay, so the only way of doing that is there's 2 options. You can read the 836-page document, which is available, and I can send the link to you if you so wish. Or if you, based on the advice I've already given you, and have a look at your label, you could strip all of that out. And from there, you can then send it to us and we can have a look at that for you. And we have a labeling service where we can help and support you with that. And I'll send details after should you require that. So we can basically make sure that you meet those regulations. And we have a service that can do that. All right. So I'm not going to deep dive into that because that's a service we provide. And I really want to give you as much value on how to do it yourself as much as I can. So basically, the regulations are all online. You can find them. I can send the link to it, no problem at all. But I say it's like 800 odd pages. I've not read it. I have a team that read it and know it and understand it inside out because that's much better. I don't know all the regulations, but I can give you the key strategies that you need to make sure work. And I've gave those to you a minute ago. That's it on labeling. Okay, so next thing, payments. Now, I know many of our clients already use some sort of payment gateway. There's loads of different payment gateways over there. Now, I'm reiterating it. And for me, as part of the deep dive, this is one of the first things in compliance. I know it's not quite compliance, but I'm pretty sure you want to get paid. You want to get paid the most effective way, the most affordable way, and not lose any money. So the advantage of using something like Payoneer, There are others out there, but Payoneer we find is great. They're a great company to work with. We work with them quite closely, and we think they do a good job basically. So the idea of this is that you set up a Payoneer account, and it's multi-currency. So for example, based somewhere outside the EU, you can have a EU, a UK bank account, you can have an EU bank account, you can have a States bank account, you can have a Chinese bank account, you can have all these different accounts. And what it means is that you can pay or get paid into those accounts, all right? And that's crucial. So what happens is Amazon in the UK, let's say, says, hey, you've sold £1,000 this week, congratulations, and every 2 weeks you get paid out, right? You know that, yeah? So let's say it's £2,000. So the £2,000 comes into your Payoneer account. Now you've got two options there. That doesn't cost you any money whatsoever. All right. Now, if you was to then transfer that money to your US bank account, right, that's going to charge you a 2% or 3% fee, depending on your account and all the different levels. That's fine. Now, if you was to go straight from Amazon to your bank account in the States, your UK Amazon, just your account, 6%. They're going to charge you 6%. So straight away, by using something like this, you're going to save money. Now, let's say you want to pay your VAT bill. And I know most of you won't want to pay your VAT bill, but you need to pay your VAT bill. Let's say you want to pay HMRC for your VAT bill. Now, the payments come from Amazon into your Payoneer account. You haven't paid any fee for that whatsoever. You now want to pay money from your UK bank account in Payoneer to HMRC. You pay HMRC in pounds. There's no charge for that whatsoever. None. Absolutely free transfer, right? That's what you should be doing. The other option is for Amazon to pay the money into a US bank account and you pay a fee. And then for you to pay in your US bank account to HMRC to pay another fee. Now that doesn't make any business sense to me whatsoever. So if you are not using a payment gateway, you need to do that now. Okay, like it's going to save you money. All right, so please, please, please do that straight away. Now, the advantage of that is that paying suppliers like us as well makes it free or cheap as well, because the money comes into your UK bank account in Payoneer. Yeah, you could pay us in pounds. Yeah, so you've got no charges again. You're saving yourself money. Okay, it just makes sense. All right, so please make sure the payments you do correctly. Okay, so that's the first part. Compliance, done. Hopefully that makes sense to all of you.